Found the meeting quite interesting. Uh, but at the end of the day, I had more questions than answers which I went for. Now, this environmentalist advocate, lawyer, she starts off very interestingly trying to say that she bases all her arguments on irrefutable, solid, official documents. Just after finishing that, immediately after that, she contradicts herself, saying through her experience and examples that the official documents are fudged. And she gave a couple of examples also. Now that's my question. She herself has raised more questions. Now, if she is doing official documents as a base for these arguments that she's putting forward, how is she getting this data? So it's always selectively collected. Absolutely, on this issue itself, look at the basis on which they are coming forward with the arguments, number one. Number two, so it's obvious that they have selectively taken data from a document which is supposed to be the same, but coherently it will not stand up because it's not connected at all. Now, this is my first question. Then, more interestingly, the second point which she made was the air pollution, where she says the SO2 emissions. She herself admits that 90%, 99%, I'm sorry, because Sterlite claims it's only giving out an emission of 1% of the total load for SO2. Now, out of 99%, by her own admission, comes from other thermal power plants. And I'll explain to you how this is totally, how it affects the whole area. Now, what's the explanation if there's no RTI, no PIL against this fact that if the reports are fudged and there's no RTI, no PIL, anything against these things. And this is not only referring to this one industry. She refers this as a generalized affair that is happening. So, if the SO2, 99% of the environmental problem is caused by others, why are we actually talking of this 1%? Not even 1%, we're talking 1%. So obviously, I would like to know what she's representing, who she's representing, and from where this data, I mean, she has a right to represent. Being a lawyer, she has absolute right to represent and to put up the strongest argument. But it's only ethical, I think, to tell us where she's getting this data from. Now, I like to explain. See the coastline. This is Tuticorin. There are about 10 thermal power plants in this area. I just approximately mark most of them. This is Sterlite somewhere here. This one here. And one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Anyway, these are the. She claimed that most of these TPPs are on the shoreline, except this. And that most of the SO2 that comes out, fortunately, I am quoting her, fortunately is lost into the sea. Now, this is the most fallacious argument I have ever heard. Because if you take this is the west, this is the east. If you were to refer to these windrows diagrams at all these points, if you average it over this, and then take a centralized, this is the south, this is the north. The wind direction in this area throughout, mostly, every time, is in this direction. West, northwest. So, she was talking about Sterlite, SO2, and the other SO2. 90% of this, so Sterlite cannot actually be responsible for anything in this except in this quadrant. So if most of the villages that would be lying south, that is of east-west they're saying, will not be affected by this. And so is this. But look at what actually happening with the other guys. This, if you take, this is approximately from here to this, there's another point here somewhere. This is approximately 10 kilometers, which is normally taken as the radius of immediate impact. When you do an assessment, it's normally 10 kilometer radius. Look at this. If you take this 10 kilometer radius, the whole marine pollution comes from this, and it's a fact because SO2 is highly soluble in water. So it's not only the groundwater that this is affecting in this region, it is also contributing 100% to the marine environment. It's also because the humidity plays a huge role in this dissolving SO2 into acid. So what are we talking about the ground, this thing? And look at the logic and the way she put this argument. That's just one instance I want to give on how matters can be completely reversed even while using contradictory information. That's one thing which I wanted to. There are many such instances which I don't want to go into.